When I think about formative moments in my life, I don't think about Halo Combat Evolved. That may sound odd considering my love for the series, but it's one of those things that's just a fact of my life. It's one of those things that goes without saying. Truth be told, I don't remember the details of playing for the first time. I remember bits and pieces, but overall it's a bit blurry. I can tell you the feelings I had, but I can't tell you the exact details. I can tell you about the gross 70s wood paneling that was in that Southern California home in late fall. I could tell you that the sky was blue outside, because it always was. The point I'm trying to make is, Halo is a fact of my life. It is a part of me, and it has been from very early in my development. I've known about grunts for as long as I've known how to write. The crazy part is just how much I remember every piece of Combat Evolved. But my first impressions are completely detached from that. The individual moments and how they hit me, I'll never be able to remember that. But I decided recently that it was time to go back into the thick of it and re-experience Combat Evolved in an isolated solo experience, to put my mind in that place again. Does it still hold up, or is it outdated? Does the combat flow well? Is the level design prehistoric? Does it even sound good anymore? Let's re-experience the evolution of combat. The world of 2001 was very similar to the world of today, yet just as alien as the Truth and Reconciliation's narrow halls. In a world where 3D gaming was still using training wheels, and 3D shooters all the same were about a decade old, with Wolfenstein 3D nearing its 10th anniversary, there wasn't a whole lot you could do to explore that space. There was also a lack of console support for shooters. This was mainly down to the fact that the controls never really felt like they hit the mark. Crucify me, but GoldenEye just didn't control well. It felt like it just wasn't possible to get things right. How could a shooter translate to a controller? Well, we have 2 analog sticks to thank for that. Up until the 5th generation of consoles, there was no such thing as an analog stick. Although if we really want to get technical, there was the Princetronic/Acetronic/Intertron series of consoles released way back in 1976. But we're just going to go ahead and say that doesn't count. Nintendo must have heavily researched what the next step for seamless control would be, and somehow settled on the idea that slapping an analog stick in the middle of a console was just the way to go. This translated to the world of 3D games being brought to light with this strange, disjointed control scheme that involved splitting camera movement and physical movement across 2 different parts of the controller. This put a strange mental barrier in place for physical movement, and it didn't help that the Nintendo 64 was designed by some strange chimpanzee from Canada or something, I don't know. Fun fact though, there was a secondary control scheme that was usable that featured twin stick movement. Unfortunately, the controller didn't have a secondary stick. But suddenly, like the shining ass of a baboon creeping over the horizon, there was a promise of something new, something different, alien, and wondrous. Can you guess? Do you have any idea? It was Halo Combat Evolved, and the geniuses over at Bungie stood atop their ivory towers and declared that first-person controls shall be good for once.
I don't understand.
You see, it's easy. You just move the stick, and then you look with this one, so now you can walkie-walk and shooty-shoot at the same time, and you can even read the latest TV Guide magazine while you're at it. Gosh, how convenient. Met with foreboding strings, immediately you know what Halo is. This colossal structure is simultaneously obvious and foreign. Your mind draws to the possibilities of what this could even be, what its purpose is, but before long you're met with the smooth tone of your captain. Fresh from a jump through space, the Covenant seem to have beaten you there. Your ship, the Pillar of Autumn, has lost the race. Now the Covenant are boarding your vessel with haste. You are all that stands against Earth's compromising at the hands of this alien threat. Better get to it. Something that Combat Evolved doesn't ever get enough credit for is its truly brilliant introduction in the first level. This area serves as a way to force you into uncomfortable combat scenarios so you learn the shooting mechanics, as well as the general sandbox. But it also serves as a misdirection of the entire game's design. As you wind through these corridors blasting your way, this claustrophobic area is familiar yet unfamiliar. Very much a product of the sci-fi era that this game was born in. Before long, you're making your exit. There's just one life pod left, and you're the last aboard. The world you know so far is left behind, and forward lies only the mystery. As you crash land below, every preconceived notion is shattered. The idea the game presented you with was a fallacy. You step out of that pod and the world is yours. You may have the best AI ever created, but she isn't going to move those legs for you, you are. Better make it quick. There's Marines that need saving. Moving into the hills, you're quickly ushered into a warthog after rescuing Johnson's squad and getting them evac'd. You're roaming the world at your pace and in your order, taking these squads of Covenant out how you choose to. The freedom of expression and ability to tackle the challenges is something I don't believe had really been done until now, or at the least, not with such a complete package as this game offered. This part of the game is just so confident and triumphant that I wouldn't be surprised to find that it was the pivotal experience that Bungie built the game around. It really just nails the pacing and exploration in a way the series has never really been able to recapture. In my adult life, I've always had this pure aesthetic in mind. The idea of walking the city alone at night, staring at the glow of the streetlights bouncing off the wet pavement. Everything around is beautiful and strikes a chord, but there's always an underlying feeling of mystery and danger to it. A Walk in the Woods is just such an excellent track that it puts my mind right on that cliffside, and to me, in that moment, the Chief and I are one and the same. We're both in an alien environment with potential danger lying around each corner, but there's an obvious surface of beauty that is impossible to miss. Funnily enough, I didn't even realize until editing this video that A Walk in the Woods doesn't actually even play on this particular mission. It's such a good track though, and it really does put me in this level. I don't know what it is about it, but I just imagine this level when I think of this track. The aesthetic of it is so moody and atmospheric and nighttimey, in my opinion. To me, this is the level where the game is the most confident. It knows exactly where it wants you to go, what it wants you to do, how it wants you to feel, and it just scratches an itch. Not a very thorough description, but this to me is art. It's where the game transcended simply being a video game. In every other moment, the game strives, but in this moment, it soars. Stretching across those peaks and taking out all the Covenant one by one as they scramble to figure out how to stop me is just satisfying. The main crux of this, I feel, is actually boarding to Truth and Reconciliation. It works for a while, but does linger on and overstay its welcome, in my opinion. The Silent Cartographer is the archetype for a Halo level's design. The framework that everything should be iterated upon going forward. Much the same way as Hang 'em High was a design reference point for multiplayer maps. This is a map that gives you a very straightforward objective, and simply tells you to reach it. Naturally, obstacles obstruct your path and make this go from point A to point B to point A to point F instead. To me, Halo Combat Evolved functions in 3 acts, and this is the beginning of Act 2, meaning that it's the game's way of putting something between you and your end goal. This is definitely one of the more pretty levels to look at. I've just never felt it was particularly interesting to complete. However, it does essentially serve as a template for the indoor encounters you'll be experiencing for the next hour or two. If Halo was the level that the game was designed around, Assault on the Control Room was the designers taking the tools and getting as creative as they could with them within their scope. The sense of verticality in playing through this level and realizing how interwoven the whole area is just fascinating. There are so many lessons to be learned about the intricacies of level design that you could learn here. This also served as the beginning of the tank run concept that Bungie seems to still fall back on to this day. 343 Guilty Spark. This is just a curveball. I don't know that anybody actually anticipated this. What an absolutely brilliant way to take what you've brought to the table and throw the book out the window. I know for certain that as a child, this level chilled my spine. The discomfort in playing this level was just insane. The found footage Jenkins cutscene was just brilliant. If you want to allow people to be put in their comfort zone, and subsequently want to completely remove all comfort, this is the way to do it. This level asks you to find out how the hell to get out, not how to find insert switch here or go to point C or locate such and such. This is all about escape. My favorite part about this level is the moment you're looking for a way out and see that familiar looking elevator, identical to the previous one you took, except it goes down, further into this infinite devil machine. Suddenly you're swamped. The flood come from every crevice and your assault rifle kills them just quickly enough for them to get too close for comfort, but you escape and live to fight another day. If you weren't comfortable with getting forced into encounters with the flood before, you're definitely not going to be happy now. I don't think it's an unpopular opinion to say that the library doesn't stick the landing. I understand the idea of pushing you out of comfort further than before, but simply forcing you to wait for the damned light bulb isn't a very compelling way to do it. There's actual timers in these door segments. You're forced to wait on them. I think this level could have been much more compelling if it simply kept the flow going, which is something that the Sacred Icon in Halo 2 essentially serves to rectify. Two Betrayals doesn't get a whole lot of focus from me. It's a retread of Assault on the Control Room, and that's very easy to see. The credit that I will give this level is in the eeriness of seeing these areas that were once so alien feel more familiar. That feeling of familiarity this time around brings this extra element of dread at the sight of the flood overtaking everything and fighting the Covenant. The pattern of retreading continues, but only gets better. This haunting segment is fascinating. Again, we're in an environment that was once so alien, yet had begun to have a modicum of familiarity. Yet it is bastardized by these creatures overrunning it and reanimating all that lie before it. The star of this show is a disturbing reality of Captain Key's transformation. His faded cries to leave him are such a tragic addition, and really make you want to push all that much harder to save him. The body horror on display in this game nearing 2 decades past still rings. We may not have had much time with him, but in what little we did know Captain Keyes, he was a stoic hero, and his legacy echoes through the world of Halo to this day. To me, the Maw is a masterclass in displaying tragedy. That ghostly wail of the familiar Gregorian chanting feels as if the soul of the ship crying out its last tears before its death. The perversion of the first place you see in this universe. The familiar corridors. The only thing close to human left is a hollowed echo of the moments past since. Hearing this track to this day simply gives me chills. Marty and Michael knew exactly what emotions needed to be solidified here. Using the most common motif in a very minimalistic way displays that from the very beginning they were masters of their craft. As you wind these corridors and bring about the destruction of the Pillar of Autumn, this feeling that all hope is lost is echoed in the world's design and the music. Fortunately, you serve to put this world out of its misery and make your escape. You managed to do just that. As someone with an older brother, I can tell you that I remember vividly playing the multiplayer with him. We always faced off. We'd play Warthog Wars, we'd have sniper duels, we'd sometimes play it with our uncle as well, and he'd, get angry and break controllers because he wasn't very good. We still play against each other to this day, except whereas he used to destroy me because I was 2 years younger, I now body him mercilessly every single time. No competition. Just, don't tell him I said that. This multiplayer just felt good. I used to use my little $200 laptop to jump on the PC trial and play some big team battle on Blood Gulch way back in the day. It felt great to play with a touchpad, except it didn't. But hey, I could play Halo on my computer, How cool was that? You never forget your first, and Halo just wouldn't be alive today if it didn't come out swinging like it did in 2001, with as fun of gameplay as it had. There's so many people in their mid-30s who will tell you all about the LAN parties they had playing Combat Evolved in college with the boys. There's actually even a video from Marty O'Donnell featuring one that I'll link in the description. The sound designs of the weapons in Combat Evolved is fantastic. The assault rifle sounds like it would tear through an army, the sniper rifle's firing sounds like it would crumble a building, and its reload sound effect was even reused in Call of Duty Black Ops. The plasma pistol sound effect is something I hear everywhere, actually. And we can't forget the classic CE pistol sound. Absolutely, and I'm never going to say this word again, iconic. The concept of telling the first story is simultaneously the easiest part and the hardest part of creating something. You have to create a world compelling enough to fit more stories into it, and yet it has to be self-contained. But you have to make sure that it's compelling. It has to have characters that we care about. It can't have major weak points. This game coming from a studio whose work was never close to this scope is just impressive. Though I may not remember my first time with all the individual moments throughout the game, I'll never forget how the music struck, how the story unfolded, or how the gunplay felt, or how the mechanics behaved. 40 years from now, I could pick up this game and complete it without a hitch. I'm confident. No matter how many years go by, there'll never be a moment where Halo isn't a part of me, and that passion, that love, comes from the beginning, when I first laid eyes on that ancient construct and was pulled into this world. Hey guys, so this is a video I've been sitting on for a while. I've been trying to nail the script for this, and I finally feel as if I've gotten it to a place where I'm comfortable with it. Just know that this is not the only game I'm going to be doing this for. I want to give my kind of unbridled opinions on all the Halo games throughout the years. So I hope you guys enjoyed what you saw here, and kind of like how it shaped up. It took me way too long to get this out, but I just wanted to make sure it had the right mix of heart and effort and all of that. I mean, that's pretty much the gist of it, though, guys. Let's talk about game night, because game night is actually happening Wednesday at 5 p.m. like usual. It'll be Xbox first, or I'm sorry, it's going to be PC first and then Xbox this time around. So I hope you guys participate in that. If you join the Discord, that's going to be how you can join the game night. We're going to be playing on Xbox and PC. I want to thank my Patreon supporters, guys. Nuck and Futz, thank you for supporting me with the $1 tier. Sovereign, thanks for supporting me at the $10 tier. Tease at the $10 tier. Ryan McCann at the $10 tier. Ghost Warrior at the $5 tier. Screamy at the $10 tier. Reclaimer at the $5 tier. Rye at the $10 tier. Anthony Berry at the $5 tier, Colton Pack at the $5 tier as well. Oh, and Crips and Cantrips at the $15 tier as well. Thank you guys so much. It is much, much, much appreciated. If you guys want to support me, there is a link to the Patreon below in the description. If you're watching live, it's probably being spammed in chat right now. Again, guys, I want to thank you so much for this. I'm so happy to have this community of people, and I'm really happy that we haven't really died down or anything like that. We had a little bit of a low period, a lull moment where I wasn't really, I wasn't doing too well, but it seems as if we have some pretty strong stability on the channel. So I'm happy to see that. I'm glad that you guys enjoy what I'm doing, and I hope you guys keep me in check. If there's ever something that I do that you don't really like or don't love, I hope that you guys tell me, because I want to hear that stuff. I need to be reined in every now and again. Anyway, guys, that's really it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. You guys have a good one. Later.